I'm saying, regionally and beyond. A lot of connections that you introduced me to, I still have today and has helped me in my career. So shout out to you, man.
So I tried to find our porn star. She's nowhere to be found. But I did find Angel, Mr.
I'm not no
Medina.
porn star, nigga.
You know, Angel, you got a green screen there. You got your studio mic. Look at that. You're all set up, brother.
Man, yeah, I'm trying to be like you ballers, you know. I got to represent, you know.
Well, nobody can ball as hard as Izreal.
So what part of New York you at, Israel?
I'm in Wichita, Kansas.
No, when you went.
But yeah, I stayed in Bushwick, but I was in Brooklyn. I stayed a couple nights in Manhattan as well.
All right, that's what's up, man. I grew up with, I went to school with Nas, and I went to school with Prodigy from Mobb Deep. So I know all
Yo, two of my favorite rappers. You know what I mean? So I was messing with my homie out there, and you know, he's like, "You becoming a real New Yorker?" Because like we was on the train, and it was like the first time that I wasn't lagging behind. He's like, "You becoming?" I told him I was from the Lower West Side. He just started laughing.
Yeah, you got to hustle and bustle in New York, man. They don't got time to slack, you know. They're just grinding.
Man, I love it though. You know what? Truth be told, when I went to New York, man, I met some of the nicest people. You know, like there's a reputation like all New Yorkers are rude and shit. Certain things is just the nature of the beast by living there. You got to be there to understand it. But like, far as like genuine people who be willing to help you and stop and talk to you, and you know, man, it was really dope.
That's good, man. I'm happy you enjoyed it, man. You know, next time you go back, man, tell me and I'll tell you where the hot spots is to get your grub on.
Man, definitely. There was a down in Bushwick off of like Stanhope. It was a restaurant called Cash Money restaurant, and man, it was ran by like a local family, and man, they had some great food, and they was like super cool. Like I walked in, they gave me lunch. It was like, "You want a shot?" You know, gave me a shot.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
You know what I mean? It was cool shit.
That's good.
So Izreal, this new album. What have you been? Talk to me and Angel here about this. I guess we'll interview you till our porn star shows up, and if she doesn't show up, we'll just interview you.
Man, it's all good. It's all good. So the new album is called Melanin Sons. You know, and it's a 10-track album. So you spoke about Nas. I hope to meet him one day because he's actually my favorite rapper. But when I grew up, when I was listening to like, you know, Illmatic, or when I listened to Doggy Style, or when I listened to like Ghetto Boys, like when you listen to those albums and those people, you heard and you understood like what they were going through, how it was that they was living. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when I heard that and I got to New York, I understood a lot of more about what they were saying. It made sense. So one thing that kind of intrigued me is that just as much as like me coming from Wichita being intrigued by New York, they was intrigued by us. Like, well, what is it like in a small town? So Melanin Sons is really like a reflection of Wichita. The music's a little more slower, a little more melodic, because it reflects like the actual tempo of how the city goes. And it's really about the experiences of young black men and what we go through. Too many times, like when they hear our message, is either the angry black guy, you know what I'm saying, or the ignorant black guy.
Yep.
And you know, I'm college educated, so I can say exactly what what I mean to say in a rhythmic way, and it's really dope, man. You know what I mean? I think it's a good message, but it's easy to follow along, and I think that there's still a generation of people out there that want to hear what I say is trap free rap. You know what I'm saying?
Like, free rap. You know what I think is great about you, Izreal, is that you don't do mumble rap.
No, not at all. You hear me like skirt, skirt. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, but
yeah, you know, the funny thing about rap music is that, you know, everything from Atlanta to Georgia to Louisiana, everybody got their own flow. Not all ghettos are the same, you know, so everybody got their hard times. I mean, it's hard, but you know, they just have a different style. And just like Wichita has a different style, New York got a different style, but we appreciate the hard work that everybody's going through, or the struggle that everybody's going through, because we're all going through it. It's just a different way about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that when you listen to this album, it'll make sense what mid-city Midwesterner was going through at that time. You know what I mean? Like in youth. And you know what I'm saying? And but the why, I guess the reason why I chose to make the album at the end of the day was really for other young males. It was like myself who didn't know that we had other options. You know what I mean? That you ain't got to be a ball player, or you don't even got to be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? I know that might sound cliche, but you know what I mean? You may be a writer. You may be all these other things. These options are open to you. You know what I mean? If you let it go, you know what I'm saying? Let go of certain things. Jig, you actually met my dad before.
Yes.
And, yeah. And, so when I was locked up from the time I was 17 to 19. Prior to that, me and my father, our interaction was kind of sparse, right? So one day when I'm locked up, one of the workers, he comes to me, he's like, yo, your dad's here to see you. So I'm thinking he talking about like my stepfather. I was like, oh, you know, so I described my stepfather. He's like, nah, this nigga got to be your real daddy because he looked just like you. And so I had all these things in my mind that I wanted to say, and I wanted to be angry at him. And when I seen him, I was going to tell him this and I was going to tell him that. Well, it surprised me so much that I really didn't have an opportunity to really think about what I wanted to say. So I was forced to just listen. And, you know, my pops was just like, yo, son, listen, as soon as I found out you was here, I came to see you. I apologize for, you know, our sporadic interaction. You know what I'm saying? This ain't the way I wanted things to be. And it's like at that moment, you know, all my anger towards him just went away and I understood. You know what I'm saying? Because although I love my mother, as a son, she'd be hard to deal with sometimes, let alone as, you know, a lover. That's a whole different things. But I wrote a song about it on the album called Let It Go. And that's part of, you know, the album, man. It's talk about, you know, eating better, sleeping better, really thinking about what you're doing, you know, letting things go, being forgiving. I think that there's a place for that in hip hop. And now, especially with all this craziness going on, it's like I think people looking for something different and kind of slowing down to see what's really important. And it's a great album.
I got you. I got to definitely grab it from Jiggy. I know he has it on his shelf through all that mumble jumble in the background, but I
That's
awesome. There,
awesome.
but I don't know if it's a
I got all sorts of stuff here.
Yeah, you still got my package from the last convention.
I do. You know what's funny about this is Angel. He told me, he's like, well, when you go out to Exotica in Denver, he's like,
right,
bring me back a care package. And so I'm like, okay. So while we were out there, I made sure I went over. We interviewed the guy who runs this thing called Bad Dragon, which I did not know anything about until Angel educated me on this. And we went out and interviewed the Bad Dragon people, and afterwards they're like, hey, how did you hear about us? And I said, well, my co-host on my Sunday show, Angel Medina, you know, and he's like, Angel from like ECW? And I said, oddly enough, yes. And he goes, holy shit. He's like, well, you know, he was like, so what's the deal here? And I said, well, you know, they were sold out of their little bags that they were giving away, you know, free stuff. They had lube and sex toys and all sorts of stuff in there. And he's like, come back tomorrow and find me, because I want to send something back with you. So he gathered up a care package within 24 hours and gave it to me. It's been sitting on the co-host desk for about a year and a half.
I gotta grab it just to check it out. But yo, he gave me some lube from them one time. And you ever like made bread, you know, made the dough, and you didn't keep your hands wet, so it's all sticky and it's hard to get off and shit. Man, I put that shit in my hand. It was like a spider web. Like I just couldn't get out. The more I struggled, the more intertwined I got in that shit.
Oh Lord! That's what you call I heard of sticky situations, but that's literally what.
It did not want to. Water didn't want to take it off. Baby lotion couldn't come off it. I mean, it was like a tussle.
I told her, hey, why don't you try sucking it off? But maybe.
That's awesome.
That's before I gave my life back to Jesus.
So when you're heading back to New York and throwing down some more tracks, I mean, are you doing any tracks down there?
Yeah, actually. So I was on my way back out there. I was supposed to be out there this April, but the Rona, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Been acting a fool. I ain't scared. I personally don't give a shit. But that's just me. You know what I mean? But I hope
I don't give a shit.
Yeah. But soon as this is up, I'm there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you can't benefit. Even if you were there, man, you're not going to benefit it because there's nothing open. There's nothing popping. Right. So you're just going to be just sitting in the house, just doing nothing, looking out the window, watching a drug deal or something. But you know what I'm saying? You're not going to get the full experience.
Watch.
Yeah, I like people watch too. I grew up in Queensbridge. All my life. I've seen a lot of things. People getting thrown off roofs. I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Man, that's crazy. You know, the thing that messed me up about Queens, the first time, which airport is in Queens?
LaGuardia and Kennedy.
Yep.
They both in Queens?
LaGuardia is closer. Everybody flies out of LaGuardia, but Kennedy is further in like Far Rockaway area. So not too many people fly out, but you have to fly out of it. Like if you're going to go to Puerto Rico, sometimes you just got to fly out of it when you need to. But mostly people fly out of LaGuardia.
When we went the first time, we flew into Kennedy, and they shipped our bags to LaGuardia. Yeah. So we had to catch a cab all the way to the other one, so to Queens. And as we driving through Queens, like it was like culture shock for me, man, because I'm seeing like all these Jewish families with the little dangly things on the side of they, you know what I mean?
The curls, curls.
Yeah, the big ass, you know what I'm saying, hats on. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is that? I'd never seen no shit like that. And then like people actually sitting at the park like playing chess and kids playing in the fire hydrant. I'm like, yo, back at the crib, you playing a fire hydrant, you're going to jail.
But like you said, you like to people watch, and a lot of rappers could sit there and get a lot of material to throw down some lyrics. Because, like you said, you just saw a Jewish Jew with spit curls, and again, I'm just using that as an example. That is just material for you to spit some flow.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I can't, like I said, I can't wait to get back. I was there in November, right before Thanksgiving. It was like really, man, super cold.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I think we might have.
We lost him.
We lost Izzy.
No,
there he is.
A friend of mine.
It's going to take a lot more to get rid of Izreal.
A friend of mine he used to work at Bad Boy, Rough Riders, and Cash Money, and he's been helping me with this album. And so, man, he's really respected. And so he took me to like a love and hip hop party. Mm-hmm. And so that was pretty cool. Wow. We was chilling. And it's funny, like, because it was like different type of A&Rs and shit in there. And I spent my whole life trying to get their attention. I walk in the room with him for 5 minutes, and he like, yo, this my man Is. And they like, oh, what's up, man? How you doing? Glad to, like, exchanging information with me and shit. And it's like, damn, you know how many fucking demos I sent out as a kid? Like, you know what I mean? But, man, I love it out there. I can't wait to get back, man. If I could, I'd be out there at least half of the time, at least 6 months of the year.
Yeah. The funny thing about New York, I mean, I'm from New York. I love New York. That's my home. I just got off the phone with one of my friends, but it's just too expensive, man. You get like a studio apartment for a rack, and you don't even got a bathroom, And he's moving to Philly. He's just saying, he's talking to me right now, not now, but a little while ago on the phone. And he was like, hey man, I'm heading to Philly, man. I just can't live in New York because they're just trying to hit me over the head with this rent. They're killing me. Yeah.
It's I seen that it was like a little better in the residential neighborhoods because like, the first time I went, like I said, our hotel got messed up. Our bags got sent to the other airport. So we ended up staying in Brooklyn. And there's a hotel called the Galaxy Motel or Galaxy Hotel.
The Galaxy.
Yo, I believe it's in East New York. It's hood to the motherfucker. It was hood. We stayed in the trap, basically. They was hustling. I was sleeping. I heard a knock on the wall, like boom, 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 boom. I fall asleep. Couple minutes later, I hear the shower go off. I hear the door open up. I hear it go again. I said, somebody next door working.
That's so awesome.
Be $40 at a time.
Somebody next door working.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Like I said, I miss the East Coast, but like I said, I love Wichita because it blessed me with a lot of opportunities. But again, New York is a great opportunity to get your rap game out there and meet a lot of people and make a lot of connects.
Yeah, definitely, man. But I need to meet Nas, man. You happen to bump into somebody who can introduce us.
Man, I haven't seen that fool since junior high school. Most of them like Meta World. You know, he was like, I went to school with his cousin, and he was like 9. You know, he was just young. So I mean, right. I knew him, but I didn't know him. And then all of a sudden, he blew up in the Lakers. And, you know, right. I mean, Queensbridge is just a plethora of people just blowing up, man. I mean, because when you hit rock bottom, there's no other place to go but up. You know what I'm saying? Can't go any further down, you know?
You know, the thing that I seen, though, like when I was talking to them, when I was like out there talking to people in New York, like it showed me that, man, no matter where you at, there's obstacles to overcome.
Yeah.
Because I look at it, as a kid, I looked at it like, yo, if I was in New York, you know, I would already had a record deal because I could take a train to Manhattan and go bug people every day at the label till they listen to me versus, you know what I mean? Because I just got that type of determination and drive versus being here in Wichita, you have a continent away. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I always thought because I felt like I don't care how many people is here, you know what I'm saying? It's still.
There's a pause. He'll be back. There he is.
At least I'm where I need to be. But the people who in New York, they battling to try to sound different. You see what I'm saying? Because there's so many people. And there is a New York style. So how do you stand out amongst that?
You're right. You know, but it's all about grinding, man. It's all about networking because, like I said, in pro wrestling, it doesn't matter how talented you are. Because I knew a lot of talented dudes out there, and I was not even close to their talent. But I just kept networking and hustling and grinding and going to parties and introducing myself and putting my face in front of them. And then when they sat there in a business meeting and they go, hey, we got this idea. We're looking for this guy. Hey, you know what? I just met this dude a couple of weeks ago. You always keep it fresh in their heads. So it's just like the rap game. You just got to keep hustling and showing your face and being at all those parties.
Yeah, which is hard to do here. You know what I mean?
But, you better believe it.
But the cool thing is that like being in New York, I really like intrigued a lot of people because in Wichita you meet people from New York, but in New York, how many people meeting somebody from Wichita? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so because of that, like, and that's the first time I found out that I had an accent. I didn't even know I had an accent, but
had an accent. Well, hey, Izreal, do you have a little bit of time to chat with me and Angel and our next guest?
Yeah.
Because I got
about 5 minutes.
I'm on a deadline here, so I've got to get my next guest in here. But I don't want to.
She's late.
I don't want to stop the party here. So I'm gonna call our next guest.
Izreal, he's just hating. We're just flowing, and he's not part of the conversation.
You know, Angel and Izreal, you two guys know me awful well. you two have known me awful well over the years. I love the fact that Angel's background, he's got the green screen and everything. And I think there's our next guest. How are you, Kevin?
Hey-o. What's good, fellas?
Nothing much. We got I've got Izreal, I've got Angel, and we've got our next guest, Kevin Goatee. Is that how you pronounce the last name?
Yeah, man, that's like the beard that I won't grow. You got it right.
That's awesome. Check out kevingoatee.com. He also has a podcast, Gutting the Sacred Cow, and he also has an Amazon show, comicswatchingcomics.com as well. So talk to us about your projects, my friend. I know the guys and me have some questions for you.
Oh boy, I can't wait for questions. Let's talk. Gutting the Sacred Cow is my newest foray where myself and Kevin Izreal, he's another stand-up comedian, we invite other comics or podcasters to come aboard, and they pick a film that they hate, but here's the twist. The film has to be a box office success, widely beloved, or C, critically acclaimed. It has to be one of those three, and they have to convince us why this quote-unquote sacred cow is overrated or just flat out stinks. So that is the name of the game, trying to go out and really take those films that we put on the mantles and the centerpieces and just take them down and argue why they stink and why they're no good.
That's awesome. I can see that. But do you have the guys who just what? Go ahead, man.
I said I'm a documentary guy, so I'd be good at that because I'm very critical of movies. Most of them do suck, but
man, I watch every movie from B movies to blockbusters. Netflix and chill. I think I should tattoo that on my chest.
I say if you can't Netflix and chill, then hump and Hulu. But whatever.
But the problem is, if I try to get a tattoo, I have to use whiteout on my chest because my black ass can't show no ink.
That's a lot better than that's a lot better than Rape and Redbox in my book.
Oh Lord. Rape and Redbox. That's
I like
funny.
that one better.
So since you brought it up, Jiggy knows the story. Me and my friend, we go back since like elementary school, and so I told him when we were walking through Walmart that one day, I said, "Hey, you remember when I used to spend the night?" He was like, "Yeah." It's like, well, when you went to sleep, I would sneak upstairs with your mom. So he replies to me, "I used to duct tape and butt rape your mom." And this lady heard us, and we've been just saying shit like this to each other forever. I say, "Well, I duct tape and butt raped your mom, but she didn't get a cupcake. You only get the cupcake if you're nice."
And then that lady called security, and they both beat the piss out of you.
I told her, "Hey, you're definitely not getting the cupcake. You called the cops."
You should have done that all over the loudspeaker on the intercom of the loudspeaker at Walmart. Just had that exchange over the loudspeaker, and made that story a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, I've been telling that story in Orange today.
That's fun.
So in regards to your show, what other comedians, do you have on? Do you have like big names, or do you have guys who are just trying to break into the industry?
We've had a couple big names. We had John Fugelsang, who was on Sirius right now. I'm on his show every month, and we had Jude Angelini, also from Sirius. He's on Shade 45. He was also on. And let's see, who do we have? The big name? I guess not any big names. I'm trying to. It's a whole. You guys know how it is, trying to book these higher name guests, but we're working on it. We got a lot of people with a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of film podcast people too. We have Matt Atchity, who used to run Rotten Tomatoes. So we're working on some of these bigger names, man. It's JL Colvan. He's now the voice of Donald Trump on Howard Stern show. He had a video that just went around like 5.5 million views, something crazy. I've known him for a long time. Done his podcast. He'll be on in a couple episodes as well.
And to me, those are big names. We're not looking for the Kevin Harts or, the Will Ferrells, not yet, but hopefully you will. But,
Why, you have your number?
No, I wish. Give me a job, motherfucker.
Oh, it's funny. Yeah, we're working on that part, believe me.
I'm out of pro wrestling. I'm tired of that.
So Kevin, Gutting the Sacred Cow, your podcast.
Yes, sir.
Sir, who walked in behind me? Izreal and Angel. No, I abuse the hell out of that line. So the podcast. Tell us about the podcast.
Yeah, that's a podcast. So we invite a comic on who comes on and picks a film that they just despise and just wants to trash it. But again, they have to convince us if it's worth it or not, and that's the whole goal is to see
what is one of the films that people just mark out over and put over like crazy that you guys have to go in and take it out back and put a bullet in its head.
There are a few of them that people want to do, but again, it's got to be something that someone truly hates. That's why we let the guest